Okay, so hello. Magic Online, Paper Magic, Arena, these are like the three competitive ways you can play Magic. Paper, well established, people have been playing it for ages. Magic Online, pretty similar. Arena is kind of new, but they're trying to make that pretty competitive as well. And they all kind of have different rules. I mean, it's all the underlying base game, but in Paper Magic, it's the most flexible because you can get away with a lot. You can go back in time and like change things and revert. You can do that all easily because it's all kind of in the theater of your mind. Yeah, you have a life total, but like, what is that? That's just your dice or whatever. It's not, you can change it easily. And judges, people come over and they can like revert and clear up issues and whatever. Arena and MTGO, you're playing online, and it's a different tournament software. Like the tournament software in live Magic, the inputs and outputs are people. You enter match results, you can go back and change them, you can repair people, all that kind of stuff. But on Magic Online, I don't know so much about Arena, but it's probably somewhat similar. You don't have, some monkeys switching who's playing who behind the scenes. It's all done automatically. There might be a bit that a programmer or someone behind the scenes can change, but I think largely no. Like they're just not coded that. I'd like to say that well, but they're not coded, and it's a good thing and a bad thing. One, no one who loves you over at WotC headquarters can like pair you against a different person or change a result or whatever, or time someone out. Conspiracy theories aside, there's no tournaments on Arena. Maybe those have to be organized separately, so it's just a sequence of matches, which I think is how they treated the Magic Online Championship Series top 4. They just had like 4 people. Anyway, but yeah, those matches were 40 minutes each, so they're kind of a custom thing because typically you get 25 minutes, even in top 8 of the PTQs online, which I've been to a few times. Anyway, so it's different, and part of the reason why they would give someone 40 minutes is because someone can't pause the match, a judge can't give them time extensions, anything like that. So 2 well-known players were playing, I think, in the top 4. And I just want to go over what I do know about the situation because I'm just some rando on the internet. But things that I heard didn't fit or make sense, so I want to just go over them kind of plainly and see what happened. But Michael Jacobs, aka Darkest Mage, aka MJ, played Oliver 2, this is all well known, in a top 4 of the Magic Online Championship. And in one match, Modern, there was an infinite combo on Michael's side of the field that if you play Magic Online, you know that you can't shortcut an infinite combo. You can't tie it off, and even in Paper, you have to choose an arbitrary amount. So if you're gaining 2 life at a time, you have to gain some multiple of 2 life. So you'd be like, okay, I gained 2 billion life, or 4 billion life, or whatever. And then you can do that the next turn. If they do 1 million damage to you, you might want to gain more if you still have the combo. Anyway, so 1, there's like the tournament rules, and 2, there's the rules enforced by the client, and they're pretty similar. You can pretty much do whatever the client lets you do, but the tournament rules say you can't take advantage of known bugs, which gets a bit weird. But an example is like, let's say you play your Scoot Swarm and you like click it really fast, and each time you click it 3 times in a row, your opponent loses a life, and you're like, well, I'll just play Scoot Swarm, and I'll click it a bunch and win on turn 3 every single time. The rules would say, oh, that's a bug, and sorry for not fixing it, but you're still not you're not allowed to take advantage of it in that way, and you'll get banned for it. So anyway, there's also like, and this is a separate thing, but it's the realm of social opinion or public opinion, and it's let's say you're playing Vintage Cube and you resolve your Splinter Twin on your Pestermite, and your opponent doesn't concede, and you're like, hey, you should concede because it's the right thing to do. They don't have to, and they're not going to get in trouble for not conceding. But you could shame them by posting the video and say, look what this jerk did. They made me make 30 copies of this thing and whatever. So that's kind of a separate issue, but you wouldn't lose a match because you made your opponent go through a combo. So what's at issue here? In game 1 of this match, Michael proposed that, hey, I have my infinite life combo here, so how about we skip all that, and you don't attack me with your zombies if I don't go through the clicks. Simple enough. And from what I understand, Oliver too agreed and didn't attack, and then lost. Fair enough, because in live Magic it'd be easy. It'd be like a matter of a few seconds to say, see my combo, I've demonstrated a loop, I'm at 1,000,000 life. And then Oliver might still attack, but it's not going to add up. Okay, so game 2, Oliver wins, and game 3, a similar state happened where Michael could gain a lot of life, maybe infinite. If you watched it, let me know, because it's just my understanding of it. And then didn't go through the steps, but must have assumed that Oliver wasn't going to attack into damage because he demonstrated the combo. And Oliver didn't at first, until Oliver got low on life, had disrupted the combo, so Michael couldn't then do it more. And Oliver felt like he was ahead in position, like insurmountably ahead in position, kind of like control decks can get with a lock with their cryptics and their whatever, but only had 2 minutes on the clock. So instead of doing anything else, Oliver attacked with a bunch of zombies and killed Michael with damage. And the match ended. Oliver won. The next interesting thing that happened in that timeline was, to my understanding, Michael tweeted out the private messages from the match that outlined their agreement from game 1 and so forth. And that tweet has since been deleted, and those logs have been deleted, so I haven't seen them or the original tweet. But correct me if I'm wrong. And then Oliver got a bunch of hate or maybe harassment or something, and I don't know why or what exactly led to it, but Oliver contacted the judges who were overseeing the Magic Online Championship and requested that the match be overturned and that Michael win the match instead of Oliver. And they figured it out, and they did that. Since then, Michael released a statement on twitlonger, which I'll link to here. Where, so I'm trying to do this justice. Okay. So you can see the whole twitlonger there. But let's get some of this going on here. So I wrote down a small outline of the timeline. So what happened after this? After MJ tweets message log from game, and then MJ deletes tweet posts twitlonger explaining the situation. Okay, so that's where we are, and in the twitlonger, I've taken a couple quotes. So this is Michael's description of the situation in game 1 of round 6 of the 2019 MOCS, and this is pretty much, I'm assuming he's telling it as it happened here, or else Oliver would have probably disagreed with it. But in game 1 of this 3-game match, Michael made an offer, which he doesn't have to do, and it doesn't have to be accepted, not to go through the infinite combo to gain infinite life, and in exchange, the opponent doesn't attack with their field of dead tokens, implying, I'd love to see the original wording, but whatever. So that was a tit for tat, a quid pro quo, if you will. I will not go through my combo if you don't attack me. So to me, it sounds like Michael is saying that this was a one-time deal. So the scope of it's very important. Did it only apply to your tokens and this one turn where I could have gained infinite life? And I think the wording is pretty important, and just I don't have access to it. But if we take the word for it, it seems like a one-time deal. Later, Michael says the offer was made in good faith, fair enough, and believe was even for both of us. So I see how this deal benefits Michael, but I don't see how it benefits Oliver to accept it. It seems like a nice thing to do to accept it. Say, oh, okay, no problem. We can shortcut it. You have infinite life here, and we both have 40 minutes on the clock, so whatever. But what else does it offer to Oliver? It gives him less time to think. It gets him behind on clock, or at least less ahead on clock, or something. So it's weird that this is an even trade, because it seems lopsided. And then later, even if the deal was bad for Oliver, it was wrong for him to go back on it in game 3. So if you make a deal, you shouldn't go back on it. You should be worth your word, Then, clarifying it more, it was wrong for him to go back on it after the engine had been removed. Yeah, fair enough. So if you're low on time, so it almost was bad for Oliver that the engine was removed, is what this might be saying. After the engine had been removed, that's why it was wrong for him to go back on it. Because presumably you attack and your opponent could gain 40 life and stay ahead of it. So it's fair to kind of fight on time that way. I guess that's what the feeling is. But further, after he had been the beneficiary of an early concession game 2. So what does this mean? Besides to show that Michael is a nice person, or that Michael was trying to play in good faith here, I don't see how this connects. This conceding in game 2 isn't part of a deal, and I don't think it doesn't affect whether the deal still applies at all. Maybe MJ was a jerk game 2, but Oliver had already agreed to something. It's not I don't know. I just don't see how it affects it at all, the deal. But maybe the deal did extend to the entire match, and I just didn't see that. It just doesn't sound like that to me. Okay. Then, later in the twitlonger, Oliver could have at least asked me to go through the motions game 3 before removing the combo. Could have. Did he need to if the deal wasn't up from game 1? Or just played faster in general for it to not be an issue if that was his intention? So this is saying, well, these are all the things Oliver should have done. But what about MJ's sort of responsibility in this? Is it possible that Michael should have clarified that, oh yeah, by the way, here too, right? But it's a little awkward when you're both under 5 minutes to be wheeling and dealing, because there's definitely been times I've been playing where my opponent seems to just be trying to chat at me to get my attention and use up my clock. And not that any of that's happening yet. It is difficult for you to make a clear deal in Magic Online chat, let alone when you're rough on time. And then I didn't even finish this before I started streaming. So in the twitlonger, maybe I could just pull that up. Yeah. Here's the bit. So the reality of the whole situation that could have been avoided. The reality is the whole situation could have been avoided if I made some clicks, granted lifelink to a massive creature, and attacked. So saying like, shoot, I'm sorry that it came down to this, because it wasn't really what I meant to do. The chess clock exists for this. Like, yeah, I should have just done it. Not doing so was an act of self-sabotage that was avoidable. So it seems to me, though, that there were no repercussions. He could have lost the match, but didn't. That got overturned. He could have, been kicked out of the tournament or something, but wasn't. There was no downside besides, maybe some backlash from the community, but it seems like most of that has been aimed at Oliver. And I don't know too much about either party, but I guess I'm more familiar with MJ just because he's a streamer and I've probably played him more online than Oliver. But anyway. So the other deal here is that I'm not sure about the ethics of, and I guess MJ and the twitlonger admitted as much, that the ethics of posting these private messages, I don't know how private they are, like any streamer playing a game with someone and the chat is visible, how private is that? But here it's between two agents, they made a deal, and then MJ published that deal on Twitter without permission or knowledge of Oliver, I guess. And MJ has a big community that's going to be there to support him. Fereval, don't be facetious. Okay. So anyway, MJ regrets all the harassment that might have gone out to target Oliver. Yet, that happened, and it seemed to be the catalyst for overturning the match result here. So, is that not coercion? In the sense that, like, if you, the loser, don't ask for this to be overturned, one, it probably won't be overturned because that's the rules of the game. Like, and two, so if you don't do it, like, you're going to face this harassment from the community. And anyway, so I'd like to be fair, because it seems like I'm the odd person out in looking at this. What is like most people side with MJ here and have congratulated him. He went on to win the entire tournament for $50,000. So self-sabotage. But yeah, it seems like strict guidelines. So if Oliver didn't ask the judges to overturn it, I don't think they would have. But furthermore, if anything, the discipline should come down on MJ for tweeting this out. Oh yeah, this was a big tournament. I mean, there's always money involved. You know, whether it be a couple packs at Friday Night Magic or you know, the finals of a Pro Tour. This was I think the MOCS this year was a $250,000 tournament. In first place, $50,000. So yeah. This wasn't the finals, though, so it would have been a bigger scandal, I guess, if it was the actual finals. But, yeah. Clever Jitsu, thanks for the Prime sub. Welcome to tea time. Hope you're enjoying this. I don't usually go out on a limb here. I felt like it might be appropriate since no one seemed to be making the points that I was thinking of. And maybe I'm just missing something. Oh, Preston. Hello. Yes, Preston is my longtime friend and very excellent Magic player, and even appeared on this stream at one point, although the VOD is long gone, before we went and destroyed Grand Prix Atlanta. Yeah. I'm doing well. I moved to Iowa, and I'm in the middle of discussing, maybe you heard about the... yeah, it was kind of small. I just saw some responses to people on Twitter about it, and I was like, huh, that seems interesting. Like, what actually happened? And, yeah. So, yeah, one person pointed out, like, a judge can't come in and pause a game on Magic Online. I don't think they can. They can't reset anything. They can't extend the time limits. That's part of why they had 40 minutes to begin with. So it's like, look, you have 40 minutes. Do whatever nonsense you need to. If you need a bathroom break, that's part of your 40 minutes, whatever. It's just a different animal. And combos are not as easy to do. And yeah, I mean, the harsh reality of it is that might be something you have to consider when choosing your deck, but yeah, if it's two people and it's like, hey, you do this for me, I do this for you, fair enough. But it seems like the big issue here is that the agreement was an agreement specifically tit for tat in game 1, and then MJ assumed it would apply to game 3, and even more, it sounds like Oliver started to play that way in game 3. So it seemed like Oliver was playing along with it. Then Oliver was like, oh, I don't have much time, but now I feel like I've got the winning position, so I'm just going to attack and end things to win the match. So Oliver felt in the wrong. That much is clear. But I'd love to see the wording of the original agreement, because it sucks to get to the position where, like, hey, don't make deals with anyone. It can only hurt you. Don't ever look at chat, even if it's MJ, even if it's beloved MJ. Like, all that it can do is hurt you, and it did. It was used against Oliver in this. If Oliver never agreed to it, to the deal that MJ felt was even for both of them, clearly not, because it sounds like if MJ played out the combo, he would have won game 1. Might have been a lot behind on time. He would have lost game 2. And in game 3, Oliver might have timed out MJ. Or just won through whatever means by controlling the situation. So maybe it might be worth going back, and if anyone has seen the match, maybe they have a different perspective on it. Maybe Oliver is just like hated in the community and people side with their friends, so I don't know, but To me, it seemed a bit unfair to Oliver here, and that's only with what I know. So if this take is something you agree with or disagree with, I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear more about the situation, including, and I looked for it for a little bit, but it was deleted, and I don't think people want it to be revealed. But it seems like all of this hinges on like the wording of the agreement, because Oliver would definitely be wrong in this. Well, Michael might have been wrong for like tricking Oliver into making a bad deal, but if Oliver agreed to it, then I can totally see how Oliver is like, yeah, I broke the deal I made. But hate to be the judge in this situation. I'd love to be the judge in this situation, because I mean, this is justice. This is like, it's tough. It's tough when the court of public opinion like disagrees with what like the actual details of it seem to be. 20 years to fix the program. Yeah, it would be. I mean, I do a little programming coding on like, I have my own, early tournament software that I'm working on, but the game software for Magic Online and Arena, that stuff is difficult. And there's just so many cards. Like there are some combos that might be easy to tie off. Maybe you could hard code them and say like, hey, I've noticed that you have these 3 cards in play. How much life would you like to go to? Or something. But it's just so hard. And then both players would have to like agree to let someone repeat the cycle for X times. God, that'd be really difficult. You'd have to have some sort of like, save the next 3 steps I do. I'd go through the combo twice, then somehow I tell the program that it's a loop, tie it off. Yeah, this is really difficult. And it's partly because it's meant to be a paper card game, and it's at its best as a paper card game. They had 20 years time. They can't even get 20 years time. I'll show you what 20 years time does. They can't even get the art of Zoff consumption to show up. Hold on, change modes here. This is what 20 years time does. But to be fair, they don't make much money on this, so it's pretty, I'm just kidding. And I've reinstalled the program, I've preloaded the art. This art just does not appear among a few other cards. Tangled Florahedron, never seen the art for this. Yeah, well, it doesn't justify it. It's just like, if if they can't fix this basic stuff, how do you expect them to do something that is possible but would probably take like months? I mean, we're talking about $100,000 to do that one problem. I think like it's probably $100,000 problem. Not to mention, people have been fine without it. Hire someone that can do it. Yeah, I mean, it'd be like, that would be a hard problem. Maybe it's not even possible with the software here. So maybe they had a chance on Arena, but even Arena, they say like, hey, look, you've done that 20 times. You have to stop. Oh, well. Yeah. Well, anyway, so aside from the criticisms of Magic Online, I think it's important that this side of the story was told. But I'm in the minority. Not even Oliver is agreeing with me. So it could be that they know something I don't, or whatever. They literally make you lose at 30 loops on Arena. Yeah, well, Arena is its own thing. Arena is a Hearthstone variant, not so much a Magic Online or Magic the Gathering simulator. So I definitely respect Magic the Gathering, the card game, and Arena is like sort of like it, or a lot like it in a lot of ways, but part of the old guard in that sense. All right, well, thank you for listening. I don't know if I can cut that up into a video, or maybe I don't know how many people would watch it. But you know what we can do? We can draft.